The Honest Garage Podcast, where real shop owners tell real shop stories.
Today on the Honest Garage Podcast, we're talking with two young shop owners who aren't trying to build one successful repair shop. They're trying to prove that an automotive company can grow to a serious scale without relying on pressure, unnecessary repairs, or the kind of upselling that's damaged the industry's reputation for decades. Our guests today are Trent Sweitzer and Noah Warner, co-owners of Summit Integrity Auto Repair, serving the Kansas City Metro through locations in Lee's Summit, Raymore, Leavenworth, and Fort Leavenworth. The company's promise is clear: only what you need, guaranteed. Their shops are positioned around honest recommendations, straightforward communication, quality service, and repairing what the vehicle genuinely needs without piling on unnecessary work. Trent's path into ownership didn't begin with a detailed plan to build a regional automotive company. He originally considered law enforcement, then became focused on becoming a highly capable technician. But after seeing a service advisor exaggerate what a customer needed and add repairs that the technician had never recommended, Trent realized he couldn't build a career inside a system that operated that way. So the three partners joined forces with very different strengths. Bobby loves being around the cars and technicians. Noah's the accelerator who constantly pushes for the next opportunity. And Trent sees himself as the systems and business person, focused on profit, strategy, processes, and turning what once lived inside the owners' heads into something repeatable. That combination has created rapid growth. The company went from one shop to 4 locations and a dealership with a team of more than 20 people. The goal is much bigger. Summit wants Summit Integrity to reach $100 million in revenue within 10 years. Not simply because the number sounds impressive, but because they want the company to become large enough to have an undeniable voice in the industry. Their argument's simple. Modern auto repair already requires expensive equipment, extensive training, advanced diagnostic knowledge, and technicians capable of understanding increasingly complex vehicle networks. Shops don't need to manufacture work or upsell customers to be profitable. The partners want Summit Integrity to become living proof that a company can be large, successful, technically excellent, and honest at the same time. In today's episode, we're going to dig into how 3 owners with different strengths divide the responsibility, what it takes to turn one shop into a repeatable multi-location system, how Summit Integrity is training its own technicians, and how they plan to grow aggressively without losing the values that made the company successful in the first place. Trent, Noah, welcome to the Honest Garage Podcast, gentlemen. How you doing today?
Good. Doing good.
Good, man. Really appreciate you guys taking the time to join the show. I try to get started because a lot of us in the industry kind of become car people, whether we started that way or not. What's the current dream car, the current vehicle that got you excited in the industry or keeps you excited about where the industry's heading?
Are you talking new or old?
Take your pick, whichever one sparks your interest.
I love an old Mustang, a 60s Mustang. You can't beat it. Nice, clean, beautiful, nice clear coat on it. You just can't beat a nice Mustang from the 60s.
Oh, it's going to be, I already have it, 1969 Mustang Fastback. It's going to be cherry red, black racing stripes.
Nice. And Is it one you already own, or is that something that?
No, that's what I want to get. I want to get it.
There you go.
Yeah.
Right on, guys. Yeah, we get answers all over the board on that one. We have some people who are really interested in the supercars, some people who love the classics. I like the old pickup trucks, so I'm a little different in that way. But it's really fun and kind of helps get us all started on something that we can all dream about. Trent, I want to go ahead and start off with the moment that really changed your direction. You were focused on becoming a strong tech, but then you watched the service advisor do something you didn't really agree with. How did that experience really lead you towards starting Summit? And what did the earliest version of the company look like before you grew to where you're at now?
Yeah, the biggest thing for me is I'm a Bible-believing Christian through and through. I don't like liars and I don't like thieves. And it's the sin that I hate, not the person, but I hated seeing somebody get taken advantage of like that when they're coming in because they trust the shop that they were bringing it to. They trust the people that were telling them what's wrong with their car. And because they trusted them, they got taken advantage of. And that rubbed me the wrong way because I knew it wasn't the technician's fault. The technician was doing his job and recommending what needed to be recommended. But then that was taken and profits were put before people. And it bothered me a lot. I'm all for recommending things that need to be recommended based on mileage interval, like a Honda timing belt. You got to recommend that stuff because if you don't, then you're actually hurting that customer. But when every time the customer walks through the door, it needs an air filter, it needs wiper blades, it needs all this other crap that really they don't need. It's just I recommend it because I want to. I hated seeing that. And so the earliest version of our shop was Bobby and I, and we hired one guy on named Steve. Steve's a good dude. I love Steve. Hard worker, and he didn't complain. Steve did not complain. He showed up every day, ready to work. He didn't know much, and he couldn't fix much, but he was good to have. And it was just us three for a long time. It was just us three for about 7 months. We tried hiring some kids, some high school kids for a while, but it didn't work. It was always just me, Bobby, and Steve. And so rain or snow, sleet, hail, and nice, bright, sunny days, we were always there 6 days a week, 7:30 to 6, trying to make it work because we didn't want to do that to people. And so most of our customers were from our previous shop. It was a Meineke before. And most of our customers came back from there, and we had to basically retrain them about how we're going to do business and how we're not going to take advantage of them. And our number one customer, still to this day, our number one customer scenario is a lady that comes in from a dealership saying, the dealership said I need brakes. I need you to tell me if I actually do. And I'm going to tell you, I've count on one hand how many times the lady actually need brakes.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's unfortunate to hear, but it's great that you guys are out there kind of combating some of those unnecessary upgrades and upsells in the industry. I want to take a second, Noah, to talk to you. How did you get started in the industry? And then how did you decide from your start in the industry that you wanted to join forces with Bobby and Trent and Steve?
So I'll just start from the beginning. I started working at a Ford dealership at a young age. It was my first job, actually, at the age of 16. Started washing cars. I washed cars. And then from there, I worked my way. I was making $7. I think what's the Kansas minimum wage? It's $7.25. I was making $7.25. I worked my way up from there. Got up. I remember the day I got a raise to $10 an hour, and I was like, man, double digits. I made it. I'm making big bucks now. And anyway, so I worked my way up from washing cars, and then I changed oil. And then one day, I used to buy cars and fix them on the side because I've always turned wrenches with my dad at the house. And one day the shop foreman came up to me and he said, hey, we got a scholarship opportunity here for you. If you fill out this paperwork, you could win. And so I did it and I won. So I ended up taking the opportunity to go to college at Longview here in Kansas City. And that's where I met Trent. And Trent and I, we talked about maybe we'll start a shop someday. Oh, that would be cool because that's the dream, right? Be a business owner, be an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
But anyways, because of that contract I signed, I was locked at the dealership. I had to work there for 4 years to honor that time. So during that period, Trent and Bobby, they started the shop, and I was going to start a shop on my own. We crossed paths again, and he said, hey, would you be interested in joining together and maybe open up a second store? And I was like, sure, why not? And then that's kind of what happened. We started the second one. I think it was late 23, I believe. We opened it up in 2024. And that's pretty much it. And it's been rolling since.
That's awesome, man. A friendship that you guys set out and were dreaming about owning a shop together, and one of those rare instances where those actually come to fruition.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome, guys. I know, shifting gears back to you, Trent, on the prep call, we discussed really what it's like having three different owners with three completely different strengths. You said Noah's the accelerator, and I could see him already kind of giggling about that. Bobby kind of on the technical and the shop side, and you on the system side and strategy. How did you guys identify those lanes, and how long did it take to identify those lanes?
The first thing we had to do is butt heads. The first thing we had to do is we had to no, I want to do it this way. I want to do it this way. And really what happens in most relationships when you have three alphas is what we have. What happens in those relationships is somebody finally says, you know what, fine, try it your way. Let's see if it works. And then it either does or doesn't. And if it works, you are vindicated. And if it doesn't, then I was vindicated, right?
Sure.
And so we had to go back and forth for a while, but eventually we realized what we're good at. And now there's some times where Noah will come in and say, hey, we need to do it this way. And for example, we look at a shop and we're like, hey, man, I think the lift should go here. And he thinks, I think the lift should go there. At the end of the day, they need to go somewhere. And sometimes it's like, you know what? You're pretty good at this too. You can make this call, right? And sometimes he says, you know what, Trent, this is your lane. You deal with it. Basically, anything IT goes to Trent. Just IT, yeah. So like those kind of things, you work with them and you understand when you own a business with somebody, you're financially married to that person until the business's death do us part. That is. So we have to work that way. And we realize this: if we want this thing to work, we've got to work together, and we've got to pick our strengths and attack those. And if I try to do something that I'm not strong in, who am I helping? I'm not helping anyone, right? So humility is a big thing. We all have a lot of pride because we're proud of what we built. We're proud of what we stand for. But humility is the way that we work together. That's how we get there.
Talk to me, Noah, about what it's like being the accelerator in the company, the guy that wants to keep pushing, keep going, keep moving things forward, working with two other partners, and being the guy that came in after. How do you incorporate that personality and that role into the company?
I have I'm sure you've heard of it, ADHD. I get bored very quickly. And for example, when I was a technician at Ford, I was a senior master technician at the age of 23. And I realized really fast, there's no more moving up. The shop foreman that was there at the time, he's not going anywhere. There's no next step for me. And so for me, it's more of I feel when you don't have to be in it every single day and we don't have to turn wrenches in a long time now, but that's when I'm starting to get, okay, what's next? Let's start the car lot, or let's go buy another shop, or what's the next thing? I think that's the main thing. It's honestly boredom.
And so talk to me about the meeting strategy really between the three partners and how you guys coordinate meetings. Is it regular check-ins? Do you guys follow some type of a management system or coaching group? And then how do you guys disseminate the decisions that you make at the top across the company, across all 4 locations?
It depends. A lot of our implementation has been just by the seat of our pants, which isn't the right way to do it. And that won't scale. We know that. But for now, that's how we've done it, is when we want to implement something, we call a meeting. Whoever can make it, great. Let's handle it. Let's handle business. We sit down, we discuss it, we butt heads about it. We finally come to an agreement, and then we execute. We don't waste a lot of time. And so meetings happen when we need them. They don't happen when on a set schedule, because one of the things I hate most is when somebody wants to call me and sit on a phone call just to check in. I'm busy. I don't want to check in. I'll let you know when there's something going on that I need you for, or you could call me when there's something you need me for.
Yeah, the meeting could have been an email.
Yeah, those
Exactly.
I can't stand those. So we call them when we need them, but we also have our lanes, and then when our lanes cross, that's when we have a discussion. And normally, one thing we understand as 3 owners. I know this. One thing we all 3 understand is, 1, we all stand for the same thing, which is Christ. 2, we all know that we're not going to upsell a customer, and we know that's a hard boundary that this business partnership wouldn't work if we violated that. And then we all know that we all have the best intentions for this company. We're not trying to crush the company. We're not trying to leech off of it, or take from it. We're trying to grow it so that it becomes something that can sustain our families for legacies on, right? And so we accept those 3 things. Those are foundational. You got to trust those 3 things can take place.
Yeah. And I love that. I love that integrity about it. I love that you have some guidelines, if you will, or guiding principles that make sure you guys stay in your own lanes, even without the regular meetings.
Yeah.
And that everybody stays pulling in the same direction. That's absolutely critical. I know you mentioned in the prep call that the promise is only what you need, guaranteed. And you just mentioned again about not upselling work as being a central part and core to the brand. How are each of you defining that line between properly educating the customer and not upselling the customer? Like, where does that line get drawn?
So we have a thing called the integrity report. And pretty much basically what that is, it's every single car that comes through our shops gets it. So what it is, we go through the whole car and take documentation and pictures. So let's say you have a 2015 Ford Escape and you want an oil change. We're going to bring it in the shop and we're going to go over the car. We're going to take pictures of the car before it comes in the shop, and then we're going to lift it up in the air. And let's say we find a ball joint that's severely loose and it's going to break and it's a safety issue. What we do is we have a system where it's prioritized. So there's priority 1, 2, and 3. And that's just it. It's just 3. And we'll say, hey, we did the oil change, but while we were in there, we found this ball joint could be a safety concern. Would you like an estimate? We don't make the estimate. We don't pressure the customer. Hey, you need $1,400 ball joint here. You need to buy it or you're going to die. No, we let them know. Hey, this is what's going on. This is the cost. This could be the cost. Would you want us to move forward on that estimate? And then most of the time, we started this probably a year and a half ago. We started doing integrity reports, and really we did it to protect some integrity and the customer, obviously. And it's actually turned more work the honest way.
Yeah. We've heard that on the show a few times before, where people think that like educating a customer and advising that they don't need something right away would stop work from coming in, and the opposite tends to happen.
I think it brings more customers. It's because you build trust. Trust is number one thing. You build trust with a customer, they're always going to come back. Because most shops, not to bash on the industry, but most shops, they're sell. And that's just not what we do here.
Yeah, I think that's great. Trent, you got anything you want to add to what Noah said?
Yeah, so with the upselling thing, I think it also stops where it's defined at. So if we define a brake pad needing replaced at 5 millimeters or 4 millimeters, I contend that if you measure a brake pad when it comes out of a box, it's anywhere from 7 to 9 millimeters, never more than 9 millimeters, because it won't fit in the caliper. So I contend that at 4 or 5 millimeters, we've used about half of that brake pad's life. Now, I don't ever think that we should get down to the metal before we replace our brakes. That's not safe, because you never know where you're going to be when that happens. But I do think between 1 and 3 millimeters is when we should be. 3 millimeters, we need to be thinking about it now. 2 millimeters, we need to be replacing it. 1 millimeter, you shouldn't leave before you replace that. Now, some people feel differently, and that's fine. But at Some Integrity, we haven't had an issue looking at things that way. And also, if you look at, like, for example, Missouri State inspections, they actually say that a dime thickness or less is what fails a Missouri State inspection. So the state sets that boundary as to what a brake pad, for example, can be considered safe at, right? And so now stretch that out across the whole of our industry, not just brake pads, but also how often do we change our coolant out, our fluids out. Coolant flushes, I think, are less necessary. They are necessary, but they are not necessary as often as a car with a steel block. A car with an aluminum block doesn't rust. So now it does create aluminum oxide. And there are some of those contaminants that get in there, but it doesn't rust like a steel block will. Right. There's some nuance to it. And to me, I'm trying to make sure that my customer can drive their liability around, because cars are not assets. They are not appreciating assets unless we're in 2020. They are liabilities. They cost you money. They are a tool to get you from point A to point B at the end of the day. And right. Just like our bodies are a tool to use to achieve what we're trying to do, right? And so just like in the medical industry, I don't want to go in for a shoulder problem and come out needing 2 new knees. I want to go in and they fix my problem so I can get back to what I'm doing, right? And so that's kind of the integrity reports that we do are just safety. They are there to protect our customers, protect our company, but we are a little more reserved on what we recommend and how hard we recommend it than a lot of shops do.
Yeah. And like Noah and I were talking about just a second ago, you find that when you make fair recommendations or safety recommendations, but aren't upselling, you guys actually end up being busier. And we talked on the prep call where you guys are currently booked out across several locations, and some stores are bringing in a really high percentage of new customers. Yeah. What do you find that's working best for you guys right now for getting the first time visits and turning them into long-term loyal customers?
We don't say no. A customer comes in, they got a challenging car, or they got a challenging ask, or even something as minimal but annoying as a Missouri State inspection. For any viewers that don't live in Missouri, Missouri has a state inspection. It's a requirement every 2 years. You must get your car inspected for you to pass and get your registration, your license plates renewed. That pays $12. Now, I've got to pay for the stickers, so it doesn't pay me $12 and I also got to pay a technician to do it, right? So it's annoying, and it really, most businesses would tell you that it's a bad idea. Don't do inspections, stay away from them. Actually, a lot of my mentors told me, do not get there on state inspection license station thing. Don't do that. It's going to waste your time and your money. And they're right in the short term. They're wrong in the long term, because if the customer comes in and they see, one, we're not here to upsell. Two, they see what we stand for, what we believe in. Even if they're not a Christian or they don't believe like us, they come in and they feel loved, welcomed, and cherished as customers. And they know that we're going to be trustworthy based on the people that interact with them up front, and even the technicians. It's an expectation of our staff to love our customers. They don't have to love everything about them, but they do have to love our customers. And so when they come in that first time for that inspection, yeah, it might waste my money, it might waste my time, but now they've been introduced and now they're hooked. They're not going to go anywhere else. We have a very high retention rate of our customers as well.
Anything to add on the customer retention side?
Just to touch base on the state inspection, it's one of the main things is everybody call. If you ask a customer, I called 4 different shops and they all are 2 weeks out. They're not 2 weeks out. They just don't want to do the inspection. And that's one thing right there that you're going to buy them. It's like, oh, you got me right in. It took 30 minutes and I'm going to come back when I need something. And sometimes, not that you upsell, but sometimes you do get jobs from it. And so sometimes it does benefit.
Yeah, because sometimes they fail.
Sometimes they fail.
They come in and
sometimes they need a
keyboard
muffler or they need the brakes, and then you get that revenue. But
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, great. And I know, Trent, you said your job is really system build out, systems that can outlast the three of you and out earn your need, I think is how you phrased it in the prep call. What processes have been the most important for you to document so far? And where are you still finding that the business is depending too heavily on something living inside of your guys' own head?
So we have a rule: if it's not written down, it didn't happen. If it comes through and it's not written down. So for example, in the first year, I took down VINs and miles. I didn't take down nothing else. And really, it put me in a lot of bad situations, because I also warranty all of our parts for 3 years at 36,000 miles. So they'd show up and I had no idea. I didn't document the second time they came in for the miles or whatever. I didn't document any of those kind of things. And for a couple of cars, if I missed the miles, I just got to honor it. I've got to honor it. And so it put me in a pickle where I'm not. So I learned that leaving things in my memory, which my memory is pretty good, but it's not good enough to store 15,000 customers and four locations. I can't store all that in my head.
I knew you were slacking.
But I knew that I couldn't do that anymore. So we had to document it. So the first system is document everything. That's the most important system that you can do in any business, not just auto repair, but especially in our business, because you have so many important items of data that have to come from these cars. The VIN number, the mileage, they're really the referral source, customer's address, customer's phone number. It's not so I can send them mailers. It's so that when I need it for a Missouri State inspection, or if I have to send them a bill or something like that, or along those lines, I've got that information. And then also the diagnostic process. If I'm going to charge a customer $85, or that's what we charge for diagnosis, but a lot of shops charge more. If I'm going to charge a customer $85 for diagnosis, and they take that diagnosis and go somewhere else with it, it's wrong of me to charge money for that if they don't get a consumable product. The product that we put out with a diagnosis is the diagnosis, is what we're telling them in detail how we got to the conclusion what's wrong with their car.
Yeah.
If we charge somebody for that, I need documentation as to how I got there and what they're needing, because that is a product that I'm putting out. It's not a product if I just say recommend water pump after I charge you $85. Well, how do I know that? And how did I get there? Customer didn't get anything of value there, right? So that's another process that's very important. It's documentation is everything.
Yeah. And for the shops out there that do like the free diag or things of that nature, I've always wondered, being in a consulting industry myself, like when we're diagging a car in the auto repair industry, we're consulting on what it takes to repair that vehicle. Yeah. That customer could go and try and repair it themselves. They can take it to another shop, but you have added value for the diagnosis. You deserve to be able to charge for diagnostics.
If you document it, yes.
Yeah, if it's documented.
Yes.
And that's my humble opinion on the subject. But Noah, from your point of view, your side is the drive, the acceleration, moving the company forward. How do you document that? How does that get an SOP?
documentation of the growth, I think that goes
like
straight.
your role being focused on growth and accelerating the company forward. Is that something that you can actually put on paper?
One thing is fail fast, learn fast, right? So you if you're going to fail, because we failed a lot in a very short amount of time, whether it's somebody we've hired and it's failed or just lessons learned, right? Not taking integrity reports. That's one thing. Let's say a customer comes in, hey, you smashed my bumper. The bumper was already smashed. So a lot of it for growth, we learned. So in 2020, what year is this? This is 26. So in 2025, we learned really quickly, okay, in 26, we're going to pause, slow down growth. We're going to build all the systems, all the procedures, and then implement everything through the system, through the business. And then in 27, we'll grow again. That's killed me this year. It's bothered me. But I realized very quickly that is very important, because if we just keep growing, you're just going to stretch yourself too thin, and then we're going to lose the whole mission, right? We're going to start cutting corners. We're going to have service advisors trying to upsell so they can make their numbers. And to answer your question, it's all ties back to systems, processes, how to document everything. Whether that's pictures, the VINs, the miles, the mistakes. That's a big thing. Documentation of mistakes. So that when we have those we call them H1, H2, that's half the year meetings, we can go over those mistakes and, hey, how can we learn from these mistakes? Hey, when you blew up this engine, what did you do to cause this engine to blow up? As long as we're learning from mistakes, okay.
No, that's awesome, man. I know you guys have your eyes set on this goal to grow to $100 million while still protecting the culture around the honesty and the integrity without the upsells. For owners out there that are listening who are looking to grow, but they're afraid of scale, or they're afraid that the scale's going to dilute the values of the shop, what would you want them to understand, or what would you say about where your mindset is at, and what would you challenge about that mindset?
So for scale, I'm going to say this. If you hire an employee, that is scale. So whether you have one employee or 150 employees, one employee is scale. So if you hire somebody on, don't be scared of scale, because you've already done it. Because you can't control every single thing that person does. So you are not going to be able to control the culture in a joystick type way. Not everything that you do as an owner can control everything that they do. It doesn't work that way. You have to set up a system and a culture that encourages the right morals, but also weeds out the ones that aren't. We've had a lot of people that we didn't even have to terminate. They just quit because they didn't fit the culture anymore, and they felt that way, and they knew that they didn't fit in anymore. And if you build that culture, you have to live it. If I'm gonna expect people to put our lifts on locks, I have to put the lifts on locks. Okay. So I was always bad about that as a tech. To lower the lift on a lock so that you don't rest all of that pressure on two little hydraulic lines that are this big. I didn't at the time when I was a tech. I was like, whatever, who cares? It crushed me.
It's just my life.
Right, it's my life. Now I got kids and a business. People rely on me, right?
And so bought a few of them.
And I bought a few lifts. So now I'm like, okay, if I'm going to expect my people to do it, I've got to do it. I'm not special because I'm an owner. The only thing that makes me special is that I own the company. That doesn't mean that I get to get out of whatever I require of my people. And it's not fair to require something of somebody else that you don't do yourself. And so in our SOP manual, it actually says, an SOP manual is standard operating procedure manual for anybody who doesn't know. It actually says in there, an officer cannot ask any subordinate, to do anything that they wouldn't do themselves.
Yeah.
And so
the rules are the rules, regardless of your role.
Exactly. If I violate the rules, I get a notice of mistake written up. I get written up. Now it's a little different, the consequences for me, but I still get written up, right?
Yeah.
And so those type of things, to build a culture, everybody has to live in it. Everybody has to agree to it. And as you scale, as long as you put the right people in place, and as long as you've built that culture and you've built the systems around that culture, you're going to be fine.
Yeah. Noah, anything that you want to add on to that?
It's just, it all comes down to culture. You don't want an atmosphere. I've worked in atmospheres where it's like you drag your feet. Oh, I just can't wait till Friday. You want to have a positive, encouraging, and great culture. I'm real big. When I go out in the shop, I'm like, whoa, let's go. Let's do this every day. And I think culture is everything. You want to have a positive culture in your atmosphere. You don't want negativity.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, I think that the culture piece that you guys touch on is just absolutely critical for scalability. The culture that you instill from the beginning is what's going to scale, whether you realize it or not. When you hear that phrase, honest mechanic or honest garage, honest shop, what does that mean for you guys? And no, I'm going to kick it to you first because I know Trent's got stuff to say on this. And I want to give Noah a shot in here at number one.
Honest shop, I was always taught growing up, if you're going to lie, it's harder to cover up a lie than it is to just tell the truth, right? So if you just do the right thing and you tell the truth, it's easy because you don't have to lie. You don't have to think about the lie. Well, remember the lie, right? Oh, I told so-and-so this. Wait a minute, I can't remember what I told them. So if you're just honest and trustworthy and you tell the truth and have integrity, you don't have to cover up a lie.
I always told people I was too lazy to lie. I couldn't keep it
Yeah.
straight.
A lot of work.
Yeah, you got to remember everything. I can't remember hardly anything as it is.
Yeah. All right, Trent, take it away.
Honest shop is just that. That's what the word integrity means. That's what it's doing the right thing even when other people aren't looking. And so,
Coach Wood.
There are very few things in our company that you can be terminated immediately for. Dishonesty is one of them. Honest garage, you're honest with your customers, you're honest with the techs, honest with your service writers, everybody. You be to the truth, and that's an honest garage.
Yeah.
Love that. I love that, guys. Obviously, we're really big on that word. That's why we have that question. We ask it on every episode. One of these days, we'll pull all those together and we'll just have an industry-changing video of an hour-long montage of what honest means to everybody.
Cool. It'll be fun. Sweet.
But before we wrap up, I want to share that one of the coolest things that's come from doing this podcast and hosting the show are the connections that happened off the air and behind the scenes that we're not even a part of. We have past guests reach out to current guests and listeners reach out to people on the show. With that in mind, what's the best way for people to stay in touch or get in touch with you guys and stay up to date on what you guys are doing at Summit Integrity Auto?
You could always reach out to us on social media. We're not big enough yet to have people that answer messages on social media for us. So it's us that does it. So, I mean, my social media is pretty simple. It's just my name. Noah's is the same. You'll see my kids and my wife on there. You see Noah and his kid and wife on there. So you can just reach out to us. If you want to talk to us, I don't know why you would, but if you do, you're welcome to talk to us. And I'm an open book. Noah's an open book. We're not hiding any secrets here. It's just we're doing something most people don't want to do. So that's
hard work, dedication.
Yeah. Hard work. Stay late for every customer you need to. Yeah, it's stuff like that.
That's awesome, guys. And really, for the people out there listening, regardless of what Trent says, they're worth the conversation. Reach out, take them up on it. On the limited format that we have for the show, we can't really dive into all the things that we were even able to get into on the prep call. And I can tell you there's a lot of value there in getting to know these guys. And I just appreciate you both taking the time to be on the show today and share your knowledge, share a little bit about your backgrounds, and kind of talk about what's working best, what the plans are for Summit Integrity Auto Care.
Yeah.
So for anybody else that's out there listening, if you got value from today's conversation, please like the show, share the show, comment, engage with us. We're also not big enough that people respond to our messages. That's just me and producer Paul responding to messages. Engage with us, share the show with other shop owners. Honestly, it's really cool to hear all of the interaction that happens behind the scenes of the show. And leave us a review. It helps people find the show the same way that reviews help people find your shops if you're out there listening. Obviously, for more resources or real world marketing advice, we're always happy to have that conversation from the Honest Mechanic marketing side of the business. But really, just one more big thank you to Trent and Noah for you guys sharing your knowledge and your story with us today.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, it was great.
And for everybody out there listening, thanks as always. Keep it honest in the garage, everybody.